Hey everyone, it's Zahava. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're just going to be doing a quick catch-up vlog so that I can talk to you guys about my progress with the 2025 52 Book Club Book Challenge, which is essentially a set of 52 prompts that direct you towards reading down your TBR list or getting through with some books that you've been meaning to read and haven't read yet, and it's just like a way to get you started and a way to get you going. And if you guys are unfamiliar with that, I'm gonna link to a video where I go through the list. I'll link to a video in the description where I go through my list of my picks for this year, or you can probably also get that in the recent video history, because I think it's probably, by the time this vlog comes out, it'll be like 2 videos ago or something along those lines. So for today, I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed and let you know exactly where I am in terms of this reading challenge so that we can start out 2025 with more or less a bang. So I do have some notes. I always have some notes so that I can sort of stay on focus for you all. So I'm hoping that this video is going to be more or less a casual one. For this book club challenge, I'm not actually going to be reading these books in any particular order, but I will tell you which prompt they were assigned to because I have my trusty reading journal here, which you guys have seen before. So this journal here, that's just like my YouTube ideas journal, but I also have a journal where I'm keeping more or less, where I'm keeping ideas about the books that I'm reading so that I can report back to you guys with my thoughts after the fact. So the first book that I want to talk to you guys about is Gone Girl. Now, Gone Girl I had assigned to the category in the 52 Book Club book prompts where they were looking for a diary entry in the books. And like, honestly, I could not finish. I DNF'd that book. I DNF'd that book somewhere around 100 pages, or maybe it was like 80 pages, because I just couldn't stand Amy's character. I did, however, watch the movie, okay? After DNFing the book, I did watch the movie because I kind of wanted to see how they were going to treat her character, because in the book, I just found her so annoying. I couldn't stand her kind of manipulative tendency, which came across really, really clearly in the book, and I guess, like, resonated at home with me because I have actually, like, known some people like Amy, and because of that, I was really uncomfortable with it. So I did go ahead and watch the movie after, and I feel like the movie, for me, was better than the book, just because, like, it didn't really give you an insight into all of the goings on in her head and all of the diary entries. And like, I get the irony of it after having seen the movie, and I knew where the story was going before I even picked up the book, because I had heard about the book before, and I knew that where, like, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I knew where the story was going to end up in the end. So I knew that going into reading the book. So it's not like I didn't know how it was going to end, but I understand now that the diary entries were never meant to be taken at face value. If you've read the book, you'll understand. I don't want to give too much more away about Gone Girl, but I just didn't like it. So I didn't get past, let's say, 80 to 100 pages before I felt the need to DNF it. And that's basically my update about that one. Okay, I am currently reading Priory of the Orange Tree. Now, this was one that I had assigned to reading prompt number 36, which was that the final sentence of the book had to be less than 6 words long. So I am currently still reading this chonker, but I have made some really good progress in it. I figured that knowing myself, it would be easier to start with some of the harder, quote unquote, harder books of this challenge. I think I may have already made a mistake. I'll explain why. Because I figured if I start with the bigger books and I start really early in the year, then I will have a much easier time getting through the rest of the list. And of course, it's only 52 books, which if you read a book a week and you don't have a lot of time, then it can seem like an insurmountable sort of challenge to do. And obviously that's why you call it a challenge, but I feel like I could probably read more than 52 books in a year, especially if I'm giving myself, as I've said in the last video or in a previous video, some grace and assigning some shorter reads to this challenge for this year, just so that I can feel like I've accomplished something, and so that I feel like, I don't know, so that it's a little bit easier, because I don't want to be reading 52 chonkers like this. But the thing about this book is that it's reading actually a lot faster than I thought it would, which is a good thing, but it's kind of scaring me a little because I know I have The Stand by Stephen King on my list to read as well. And I know that that one's over 1,000 pages. I think it's like 1,156 pages, The Stand. And this one here is just over 800 pages. And I know it looks like super thick. I think in a previous video I said it was 3.5 inches wide. It's not. Or 3.5 inches thick, I should say. It's not. It's like more closer to 2.5 inches thick, but that's not the point. The point is, it's reading really well and it's reading really fast. And I am on page right now 289, so a little more than a quarter of the way through the book right now. And I'm really enjoying it, and I don't find it difficult to read at all. So, I would say that like at the beginning it's really heavy on the world building, and of course whenever you're being introduced to a new fantasy and you are like trying to get to know a new world, it does take some getting used to. It does have a period of adjustment. I appreciate the maps. Do you guys use your maps when you're reading fantasy? Let me know in the comments, because I really refer back to my map a lot. And I really appreciate having it. I do have kind of like a little bit of a complaint about this map though, and it's gonna be, it's so like negligible, but it kind of bothers me. Like it's really niggling at me. So the one complaint that I do have, and I'll see if I could find a map online so I can show you guys and maybe circle exactly where it is that's bothering me. But the city of Orissima, I think that's how you pronounce it, because of course with a fantasy, you never really know how to pronounce things correctly. At least I never do. But the city of Orissima is supposed to be a little island that is like offset of a larger island. And in the map that we're getting in the book, it looks like it's actually a part of the island. So I found that a little bit confusing. I think I would have much rather appreciated having like a little bit of water to sort of separate Orissima from the rest of the landmass of Saiki. So it just would have been a bit easier for me to suss out, because when they're talking about someone who's on this tiny little island, which is offset of another island, and I don't see it on the map, I get a little confused. So I wish that they would have just had that separation of water there visually, because for me, it would have helped me a lot. So anyway, I think that I'm going to be done this book a lot sooner than I thought I would. When I first saw this book, I thought, oh my God, it's going to take me 3 weeks to read it, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be done within a week. If I'm not done within 3 days. Right now, it's been maybe 2 days that I've really been into it. I think for the first sort of getting to know the book a little bit, I started it like way at night, so I only read it for about, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. I didn't really get that much into it, maybe 30, 40 pages, because again, as you're building a new world, you don't know anybody, you don't know the characters, you don't know the setting, so it's like a slower start. But I'm liking the story so far. Being 289 pages in right now, I feel like, and I heard also that this book is kind of a slow burn. So I'm understanding that. There's little hints of things that I'm picking up on in the novel that are starting to sort of present themselves and stuff like that, but I like it. I think I probably will pick up the prequel that goes along with this one, but I'm gonna wait until it's either restocked at Book Outlet or goes on sale on Amazon or something, because like I don't want to pay full price. I don't know at this point if I like the book enough to pay full price to get the prequel. But getting the prequel will, of course, respond to one of the writing prompts for this book challenge that I don't have a book assigned to just yet. So anyway, Priory of the Orange Tree, easier read than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, it should, starting with like the biggest chonker is making me feel like I'm ahead of the game. So I want to bring you guys also up to date on a couple of other books. My Kindle, The Medicine Woman of Galveston, I haven't finished it yet at the time that I'm recording this video. I don't know when I'm going to finish that book because it is on Kindle. Probably by the time you guys see this video, it will be finished, because I'm going to be putting up this video while I'm actually in Australia, so you guys have something to watch. So I'm going to be in Australia while you guys are watching this video, and I believe that I will have finished The Medicine Woman of Galveston by that time. At least that's the intention, while I'm on the plane, because that is a Kindle read. So stay tuned to see how I feel about that book in the next vlog. But to bring you guys up to date on how I feel about the novel right now, I like it. I like it. I think I'm about halfway through, and again, it's one of those that is a sort of found family trope. That's the one I actually assigned it to for the book challenge, is the found family trope. But I kind of feel like there could be a romance there. I might be wrong. Again, I'm only halfway through, but I'm liking the pacing. I'm liking the way that this book has been written, and so far so good. No plans to DNF that one, so yay for a book that I'm not going to DNF. I'm happy about that. So stay tuned to see how I feel about that one. Still haven't finished The Princess Bride, okay? But I'm making my way through it. I think I'm I'm about like 3/4 of the way done on that one. But again, that is the one that I told you I would let you know when I finished, because it's that slow little read that I read, a few pages every night before I go to sleep. You can't not like The Princess Bride. So there's not really much to report on that one. Okay, so now I want to talk to you guys about one that I'm having some trouble with, okay? I am listening to The Unmaking of June Farrow. And so for this challenge, I've assigned The Unmaking of June Farrow to reading prompt number 6, which is a novel set in spring. And I guess it kind of is because it's set in like early June. I don't know if that has to do coincidentally with the name of the character, but a lot of the setting takes place in June as well. So June 21st is our summer equinox, and obviously if it's set in the beginning of June, we are still sort of set in spring. It's, June owns a flower farm, and they are setting up to do some festivals and things like that throughout the course of the novel. Now I remember telling you guys that I am a big fan of time travel, okay? If there is time travel, I am showing up for that book. But this one, I gotta be honest with you guys, I had a lot of trouble wrapping my head around. I'm a fan of time travel in the way that the Book of Doors did it, okay? And that has to do more with like going back and forth through time, but there weren't really any mathematics to work out. Now, one thing that you'll notice probably if you've been to this channel before is that I really have trouble when too much math and too much science is coming into my books. And I'm not reading a book, so to speak, to like attend a math class. I don't want to have to sit and like work out and do mental gymnastics to kind of figure out what is going on in the book, because it takes away, frankly, like all the enjoyment for me. And probably I'll get some hate in the comments, and maybe you guys think I'm stupid. That's fine, but I just don't want to sit and do mental gymnastics while I'm reading, because it kind of takes me like out of the story. So I am definitely a fan of time travel. I think that I will really enjoy The Other Valley, though I haven't read it yet. But what I understand from The Other Valley, quite simply, is that there's a valley, and on one end of the valley, you can skip forward 20 years in the future, and on the other end, you go back 20 years in the past. Pretty simple, okay? Interesting premise, interesting story. I have it on my TBR card. I haven't read it, so I can't tell you anything about the story, but it's definitely one that I wanted to get to this year. However, okay, you guys, sorry, I just had a phone call I had to pick up, so I don't actually remember where I was, but I think I was talking about The Unmaking of June Farrow. So basically what I was saying is that it's requiring a little bit of mental gymnastics for me to wrap my head around the timelines in this time travel novel. I had some problems with some of the rules, but so actually, to get around this problem that I was having trying to figure out the timelines and everything, I watched a really helpful YouTube video, which I'm going to link to down below in the description, which I found absolutely invaluable. But just know that if you go and watch it, it takes you through from beginning to end of the story, and in some detail, so that you will absolutely have spoilers. So it's not a spoiler-free aid. It's really a video that's about 13 minutes long, and it takes you from the beginning to the end of the story. And I just found it like super duper helpful. And now when I go back to listening to the audio copy of the book, it's so much clearer to me now what is happening. So I just want to give a big shout out to the creator of that video, whose name I don't remember right now as I'm recording, but I will put across the screen along with her link down below in the description if you guys want to go check out that video, because I found it absolutely invaluable. I do love time travel, but there's certain types of time travel that are just presented in a very basic way, and I just find that those types, like as in the Book of Doors, it's much easier to access for me. So where we start to talk about different time periods and different years and jumping back and forth and like how you cease to exist, I don't know, it's just the Unmaking of June Farrow makes sense now, but I needed that video to kind of help me through it. So if you're in a similar situation, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, because I was there too, and I was this close, you guys, to DNFing The Unmaking of June Farrow. And it really was not because of the time travel element. Actually, that was not at all the reason I was going to DNF it. I was going to DNF it because I was so frustrated with how long it took for the author to explain to the reader why June was experiencing the weird things that she was experiencing. And I got super annoyed because usually you kind of get to the hook of the novel around like chapter 9, chapter 10, when things start to get explained to the reader in a more fleshed out way. Because if you don't have that, what's the point of continuing on? To me, it felt dangerously close to season 2 of Lost with that big string of numbers, and I've talked about it before on this channel, where like they wanted so much to keep you on the edge of your seat that they lost me. It's just, they try so hard to keep you at the edge of your seat that it gets to the point where it's annoying. So that didn't happen in The Unmaking of June Farrow until around about chapter 11. So I think that I was really hanging on at that point by like a thread. I was hanging on by a thread, and I was really annoyed when June was going around asking, what's happening to me? What's happening to me? And people were being deliberately silent about it. And when people, like characters in the book, are being deliberately silent about something, that to me translates to the author is being deliberately silent about it because she wants to tease you a little bit more. And I don't want to be teased to that extent. So I did find that a little bit annoying, and I was literally this close to giving up on the book, which I'm so glad I didn't do, but it was a close call. So at the time of this recording, I haven't finished the book yet, but I do know the entire story, having watched that spoiler but very helpful video. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing that book. But that one there is on Audible. So that takes care of point number 6 in the 52 Book Club Challenge, which is a novel set in spring. Okay, so now before we close out the end of this video, I want to talk to you guys about what I have coming up next on the TBR cart for when I finish certain books of this challenge. First of all, I want to talk about, am I only going to be reading books that I have picked this year that go along with that 52 Book Club Challenge? Probably not. Probably not. Because as I said before, 52 books really could be like a lot of books to read in a year, or it could be not a lot of books to read in a year, depending on how much time you have, etc., etc. So for me, I know that there's certain books on my TBR cart that I really did want to get to, but as they didn't respond to any of the reading challenge prompts, I didn't assign them to any, but I want to get to them anyways. So there is a good chance that I will be picking up books like that. But that's going to really depend on my mood and how well I see that I'm going. I'm definitely going to be prioritizing books from the challenge, because otherwise what's the point? I made a commitment to myself and to you guys, so I want to be trying to accomplish as many of those challenge prompts as possible, but also I may decide that I want to read something else, listen to something else, or explore something that isn't on the challenge, depending on how far advanced I am. If I get to June and I've done like more than half my books, which I think is probably on par with the timing of the challenge anyway, but let's say I've done more than half and I've gotten to June, I may decide that I'm going to read something else that isn't part of the challenge. So it's not going to be necessarily just books that are on the challenge. So we'll see how we go. And I may not even finish the challenge by the end of the year either, because again, it's just a way to get you reading the books that are on your cart, or the books that are on your TBR list, or bookshelves that you haven't read. Maybe it's books that you're going to be taking out from the library. Maybe it's books you're going to listen to the audio copy, whatever your situation is. It's just to sort of give you some direction. I'm sort of a mood reader, so I don't really necessarily need to take part in a challenge, but I thought it would be fun to do. So I could usually just pick a book and be like, oh, I'm in the mood for that book, and I'm going to pick it up, and I'm not going to break my head about it. So that's pretty much where I stand with that. That being said, the next books that I have that I would like to read that are going to be part of the challenge, there's quite a few of them, but again, it's going to depend largely on my mood. I definitely want to be reading The Man Who Sold Air in the Holy Land. And the reason that I want to be reading that one is because it is a book of, I believe, like 3 short stories. So that tends to feel to me like it could be read a lot quicker. I am also going to read Tuesdays with Maury. I think I'm going to go through like a series of shorter books. So these books will be on the challenge, right? So The Man Who Sold Air in the Holy Land responds to challenge prompt number number 41, which is to have a font color on the cover that is a primary color. And then there is Tuesdays with Maury, which has sold over 1 million copies, and that's another short one. And then I think I'm also going to try and read a T. Kingfisher book, because I have never read T. Kingfisher before, and I have a book that is a very short book, which I think you guys saw in the last book haul that I did. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put it up on the screen. And that one is actually not a part of the 52 Book Club reading prompt challenge that I'm doing, but I think I want to read that book anyway because it's low-hanging fruit. It's a short book. It'll get me introduced to T. Kingfisher, and that's pretty much what I have that I can see in the foreseeable future at the time that I'm recording. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for making it through. If you've made it all the way through to the end of this video, I really appreciate that you're coming to hang out with me and see where I am in terms of my reading progress. If you haven't already, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of my reading choices. Let me know if you've read any of the books, and I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much once again, and I will see you again in the next one. Ciao for now.